revealed how a heartwarming request from a black girl transformed a billionaire's life. Fr. Jordan strode down Fifth Avenue, his designer shoes clicking against the cold pavement, creating a rhythm that matched the pulse of New York City's heart. The bustling crowd flowed around him like a rushing river, alive with laughter, arguments, and the sounds of the season. Yet, despite the opulence that surrounded him, the glittering shops, the festive decorations, he felt an emptiness gnawing at him, a hollow that wealth seemed only to deepen. As he walked, he stumbled upon a neighborhood that seemed worlds away from his glass tower. Here, the streets were filled with a vibrant chaos of life, with locals navigating the frigid air, faces flushed with determination. This was not just a backdrop. This was a different New York, struggling and hopeful, and as Jordan took it in, he couldn't escape the feeling that somewhere in this bustling community lay something vital he had lost. Just then, a burst of laughter broke through the city's roar. He turned to see a 10-year-old girl, Maya, with bright, sparkling eyes and an infectious smile that rivaled the glow of the holiday lights. She dashed between the buskers, her carefree spirit contrasting so sharply with the world Jordan inhabited. He chuckled, caught up in her joy, until she approached him, her small frame radiating confidence. "Excuse me, sir," she exclaimed, her voice clear and direct. "I need your help." Jordan was taken aback. Did this girl, with her wide-eyed enthusiasm and tattered coat, just ask him for help? It took him a moment to recover. "What do you mean?" he asked, intrigued despite himself. "They're cutting funds at my school," she blurted out, urgency bubbling in her tone. "We need to keep our after-school program running so we can learn and create. It helps kids like me dream." Her eyes flashed, revealing a wisdom that far exceeded her years. In that moment, the laughter and light around them dimmed, and everything felt heavy with a mixture of naivety and undeniable truth. Memories rushed through him of his own childhood struggles, of community dinners that kept hope alive despite the darkness. Jordan's heart twisted. Here she was, unabashedly hopeful, while he spent years trading laughter for boardroom meetings, success for isolation. There was a rawness in her plea, a call to something buried deep within him, begging to be acknowledged. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Driven by a flicker of guilt and an insatiable curiosity, he began visiting the community regularly. He encountered local veterans sharing stories of resilience and leaders fighting against the odds. Each meeting stripped away layers of privilege, laying bare societal injustices. He felt the weight of their struggles, the same struggle that had once etched lines of hope and heartache into his own life. As those weeks passed, Maya's unwavering spirit and her vision became a beacon in Jordan's heart, igniting a desire for connection he had long ignored. Just as he resolved to step up, his empire was hit by a financial crisis. The echo of sirens, the weight of looming decisions, and the new flicker of inspiration in his chest collided brutally. Jordan faced a crossroads that would redefine everything. Would he cling to the safety of his wealth, or answer the call of a brave little girl? Or would he falter as the pressures closed in? The question loomed heavy, and with it, the chance to redefine success itself. Would the ties to Maya and her community show him a different kind of richness? The answer felt just beyond his reach, waiting to be discovered. Jordan sat at his sleek, glass desk, staring blankly at the dim light of his laptop. The world outside, vibrant and thriving, felt like a distant echo. Numbers swirled in his mind, figures indicating losses that were significant but somehow less important than the pulse of life in that community where Maya lived. The tension of his financial situation clashed violently with the hope he discovered, leaving him torn. The news from his boardroom had rattled him. Projects were being shelved. Investors were pulling away. But amidst the chaos, the laughter of children echoed in his mind, a clear reminder of why he started building his empire in the first place. Suddenly, it wasn't just about wealth and status anymore. It was about making a real difference. When had he lost sight of that? Maya's earnest eyes haunted him. She believed in the power of dreams, her dreams, and those of the other kids in her program. He could almost feel her small hand tugging at his sleeve, imploring him to act. But how? He had always been a man of numbers, of calculated risks. This was different. Taking a deep breath, he pushed back his chair and stood, gazing out of the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. The lights blurred together, resembling the vibrant colors that lit up Maya's face when she talked about her after-school program. He needed to do something. He had to revitalize that spirit of connection he had found. With urgency pulsing in his veins, he picked up his phone and dialed an old colleague who had experience in community outreach. "Hey, it's Jordan. I need your help," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. He spilled his aspirations to bring new life to the community center, to support Maya's school in a real way. They brainstormed ideas, a mixture of fundraising, corporate sponsorships, and personal contributions. It was exhilarating, and for the first time in weeks, hope bubbled up inside him. The next day, Jordan was out on the streets again, this time more confident. He approached local businesses, sharing his vision, drawing them into the idea of supporting the community. He felt a sense of purpose reignite within him, and each interaction sparked more enthusiasm. The shop owners at first hesitant began to catch his excitement, eager to build a better future for their neighborhood. Yet, as he stood outside a cafe, sharing coffee and conversation with a group of budding entrepreneurs, a cloud of anxiety loomed again. What if the risks he took weren't enough? What if he failed? Just then, Maya appeared, skipping toward him with her trademark exuberance. She stopped, her face lighting up when she saw him. "Are you really helping our school?" she asked, her voice bubbling with excitement. Jordan knelt down, their eyes met, and he felt a swell of emotion. "I'm going to do everything I can," he replied, his heart racing. "You deserve a chance to dream." Maya beamed. "Thank you, Mr. Jordan." Her sincerity touched him deeply, and for the first time, he realized that this wasn't just about financial contributions. It was about investing in lives and future generations. As he watched her dash away to join her friends, Jordan knew there was more at stake than mere money. He was at a pivotal moment, balancing on the verge of transformation that could shape not only the community, but himself as well. He had rediscovered something valuable in the chaos of recent weeks, a part of himself long forgotten. Would he fully embrace this new direction and let Maya's vision inspire him further? The weight of the decision pressed on him alongside a flickering flame of excitement. Deep down, he knew the community deserved his utmost effort, but would it be enough? With a determined heart, he stepped forward, not realizing that the biggest challenge and the profound changes that came with it were still ahead. A challenge that would make him question everything he thought he knew about success, purpose, and himself. Jordan awoke the next morning with a new sense of urgency coursing through him. Today was not just another day at the office. Today was a chance to make difference. Just after breakfast, he grabbed his jacket and headed out, ready to put his plans into motion. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting a warm glow that felt encouraging, almost like a good omen that he made his first stop at the local community center, where he had scheduled a meeting with the director. Linda was a no-nonsense woman whose dedication to the kids was palpable. As he stepped inside, he could hear cheerful laughter escaping from the gymnasium, a stark contrast to the corporate boards he was used to. It filled his heart with a swell of possibility. "Jordan," Linda greeted him warmly. "I'm excited to hear what you've got planned." As they sat down, he explained his vision, focusing on revitalizing the after-school programs, which included art classes, mentorship, and even sports activities. "We need to create a space where kids can not only learn but thrive," he said, his voice steady. "But I can't do this alone. I need the community behind me." Linda nodded, fully on board, and they began to outline a plan. They discussed reaching out for donations, local events to raise awareness, and connecting with local businesses to create partnerships. Jordan felt electrified, each idea sparking an excitement he hadn't realized he missed. After the meeting, he stepped outside, slightly dazed by the possibilities. But soon, doubt crept back in. Would people really join him? Could his corporate experience translate into this world of community outreach? Just then, he caught a glimpse of Maya across the playground, surrounded by some friends. Her laughter floated toward him like music. He smiled, remembering her spark so distinctly. He decided right, then that he would do whatever it took to ensure she and others like her could feed their dreams. He took a deep breath, regrouping himself, and walked over. As he approached, Maya spotted him, and her face transformed into a bright smile. "Mr. Jordan, are you really going to make our school awesome?" she asked, her voice ringing with hope. "I'm going to make sure of it," he replied, feeling a surge of determination. "Promise?" she pressed, her big eyes searching his. "Promise," he said, kneeling down to meet her gaze. And in that moment, he understood it wasn't just a promise to the kids. It was a promise to himself to keep striving for meaning, to embrace this shift in direction. The next few weeks flew by in a whirlwind of planning sessions, fundraising events, and community meetings. He felt like a different man as he watched the community respond. Local businesses contributed, volunteers signed up, and the energy around the community center began to shift. But as the momentum grew, so did the challenges. There were nights when he wrestled with feelings of inadequacy, questioning whether his previous life of privilege had prepared him for this. They had raised some funds, but it still felt like there was so much more to do. The pressure weighed on him. One evening, after a long day, he drove by the playground where he had first met Maya. Stopping the car, he stepped out to breathe the pure, crisp air. As he approached, he saw her again, surrounded by other kids, all engaged in their games and laughter. In her carefree world, they had no idea how hard he was working. But for him, it was all worth it just to see them smile. As he turned to leave, the approaching sound of sirens broke through. His heart sank. What if something terrible had happened? He whipped around, ready to find out, an unexpected fear gripping him fiercely. There was more at stake here than he could ever have imagined. Would this community still believe in him if something went wrong? How much further was he willing to go to protect those dreams? In that moment, he realized he was prepared to dive deeper than he had ever thought possible. But the looming question remained: what lay ahead that might challenge everything he had built? As Jordan scanned the playground, his instincts kicked in. The sirens drew closer, their blaring wails echoing through the air, slicing through his thoughts. What was happening? His heart raced. The laughter of the children faded, replaced by a palpable tension. He spotted a small group of parents huddled together, their expressions grim. For a moment, he hesitated, the fear anchoring him in place. Could this be about Maya? With each step toward the crowd, anxiety twisted in his stomach. He tried to calm himself. Whatever had happened, he had to stay focused. He had promised Maya. He had promised himself. "What is going on?" Jordan asked as he approached the cluster of concerned parents. One woman turned to him, her face flushed. "A kid in the neighborhood got hurt. They called an ambulance." Jordan's pulse quickened. "Do they know who?" She shook her head, but he could see tears brimming in her eyes. Suddenly, his mind raced with imagined scenarios. What if it was someone from the community center? What if it was Maya? Does anyone know how it happened? He pressed, trying to understand, but nobody had answers, just fearful glances exchanged among them that he felt helpless, a feeling all too familiar from his days sitting around boardrooms. The stakes were so different here. Everything felt larger than life, real people, their real struggles. He began to pace, each footstep a desperate attempt to ground himself in something tangible. Then, the sirens finally stopped. The ambulance doors swung open, and in the midst of the chaos, Jordan caught a glimpse of yellow boots, the very boots Maya loved to wear. A rush of hope flooded through him, only to be met by a squeezing pain in his gut. Suddenly, everything felt too intense, too close to home. Two paramedics emerged, wheeling a stretcher toward the crowd. Jordan's heart raced, his instincts screaming to step forward, to do something, anything. But he stood frozen. The community center, which had become his anchor, felt vulnerable at that very moment. Had he done enough? Was this what it meant to truly serve? If something happened to a child like Maya, could he forgive himself? Just as he was about to push through the crowd, a small voice called out, breaking through the clamor. "Mr. Jordan." It was Maya, standing away from the crowd, her bright smile juxtaposed against the tension around her. His heart soared and sank simultaneously. She was fine, but the reality of what could happen flooded back to him. "Hey, what are you doing here?" he exclaimed, rushing to her side. "I was just playing. We were having fun." She giggled, unaware of the situation unfolding just steps away. "But what's wrong? Why does everyone look so worried?" Her innocent concern cut through his fog of dread. Jordan knelt before her, resolving at that moment to ensure this would be the last laughter to echo throughout the center. Nothing, sweetheart. Just some excitement. But I need you to promise me something, he said, forcing a lightness into his voice. Anything, she replied, her eyes wide with curiosity. Promise me you'll stay close to your friends and be careful. We need you here, okay? I promise, she said, nodding earnestly. As she skipped back to her friends, he stood up, determination flooding through him. The warmth of her laughter mingled with the urgency of the moment. It pushed him forward. If the community was going to be there for its kids, he needed to be the rock they could depend on. As more neighbors gathered, a sense of solidarity began to build. He noticed parents hugging children close, voices rallying in shared concern. Flares of hope sparked. People were ready to stand together, but the question lingered. How far could this newfound unity take them? What challenges awaited them on the other side of this moment? As he looked out at the concerned faces, he felt the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. This was the turning point. This was the moment that could change everything. Could he truly lead them when the winds turned against him? And just then, the siren's distant echo returned, signaling the unpredictable winds of change that could either uplift or tear them apart. In that moment, Jordan knew one thing. He would dive deeper, no matter the depths he had to reach. But what awaited him in the shadows, ready to reveal itself? Jordan straightened his back, the weight of the moment settling into him. He took a deep breath, rallying the courage that surged through his veins. With countless eyes watching him now, he understood that he couldn't merely be a bystander. He had to act, to gather them into an embrace of community and hope, much like what he had always envisioned for the center. Everyone, he called out, his voice loud enough to slice through the murmurs of worry. The crowd turned, the worried parents and inquisitive children shifting their focus to him. I know we're all scared right now. I can feel it too. But we need to stay strong for one another. Maya's right, we can find a way through this together. A few heads nodded, their expressions still etched with concern, but something glimmered in their eyes. They were searching for an anchor, and maybe Jordan could be that anchor, the fortress against anxiety swirling around them. Let us gather at the community center, he urged, stepping forward. We can support each other there. We can talk, share, and make sure no one here feels alone in this moment. One parent, a father with worry lines shooting across his forehead, stepped forward hesitantly. But what if it's serious? What if someone needs us? His voice cracked slightly, revealing the depths of his fear. Jordan held his gaze, planting a seed of reassurance. Then we'll be there. Together, we can rally support, help each other through whatever it may be. And we'll find out what's going on, together. As if on cue, another parent stepped up, her voice shaking but determined. I think he's right. We need to be there for one another. If one of us is hurting, then we all are. The ripple of agreement bolstered Jordan's resolve. With every nod and supportive word, it felt as if the air was charging up around them, transforming the uncertainty into a tangible energy. They were stronger as a unit, ready to withstand the storm. Jordan guided them, leading the way back toward the community center where he hoped warmth and connection would await them. As the group moved together, he noticed the children laughing quietly again, leaning against their parents, glancing curiously towards Maya. She was chatting animatedly, oblivious to the shadows hanging over her. He watched her, a spark illuminating his heart. Maya, with her innocent cheer, she represented everything that was worth protecting. The laughter, the joy of childhood, the future. If he could safeguard that, he would do anything. Arriving at the center, he flung open the doors, inviting the parents and kids inside. They poured in, filling the space, their footsteps a symphony of determination. Soon, the room buzzed with whispered discussions, laughter easing the initial tension. Jordan paced, listening and participating, trying to provide solace where it was needed. He spoke with a mother whose son was particularly frightened. I understand. It's okay to feel worried. It's very real. But know that you have a community ready to catch you if you fall. Mr. Jordan, Maya called out, breaking through the flow of conversation. He turned to find her bouncing slightly, her face illuminated by excitement. Can we do art together? We can draw and make it beautiful. We can show everyone we're still happy. Her enthusiasm cut through the heaviness of the air like sunlight. It reminded him of how resilient joy could be, even in times of chaos. That is an excellent idea, Maya. Let us gather some supplies and make it a celebration. As they collected art supplies, the atmosphere transformed. Children began to laugh and share stories. Parents followed suit, swapping tales and sharing the weight of their worries. But just as they were finding comfort in their creativity, the door swung open, the sharp sound of footsteps startling everyone. A familiar face entered, but the expression on it shook Jordan to his core. The town's police chief stood there, concern etched deep into his features. "Jordan, we need to talk," he said slowly, his voice pulling everyone's attention into a heavy silence. What was this about? A nagging thought curled in the back of Jordan's mind. Had the situation outside changed? Was danger still stalking them? His heart pounded, sensing the shift in the room. Whatever was being unveiled now could reshape everything they had just begun to build. And in that heartbeat, he knew the true storm was just beginning. The silence hung thick in the community center, heavy with anticipation and concern. Jordan met the police chief's gaze, searching for answers that felt just out of reach. The whispers around him faded to a distant hum, the laughter and chatter replaced by a low, unsettling murmur that rippled through the parents and children alike. "Chief Matthews," Jordan began, his voice barely a whisper, "what is going on?" The chief took a step inside, closing the door behind him as if to block out the world beyond. He paused, collecting his thoughts, and for a moment, Jordan saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes. It struck him what could possibly be so grave to warrant this level of caution. The question hung in the air like a dark cloud. "Jordan," he said, his tone firm yet somber, "there are reports of a person missing, a child." The weight of those words landed heavily on everyone like a shattering glass, splintering the fragile peace they had just started to build. Gasps filled the room, parents exchanging worried glances, children glancing up, confusion etched on their faces. Maya, who had been caught up in her art dreams, paused and stared at the chief, her wide eyes searching for reassurance. "Missing? How? Who?" A mother's voice trembled as she stepped forward, the fear palpable in her words. "Her name is Sophia. She's around Maya's age," Chief Matthews continued, glancing towards the girl. "It's believed she might have wandered off near the park after school. We're doing everything we can to find her." Jordan's heart dropped. Thoughts rushed through him. What could he do? Couldn't they just take this moment and wrap it in hope? Yet worry flickered about like a dark shadow, creeping into every corner of the room. "We need to organize a search," he asserted, forcing confidence into his voice. "If we don't stand up for one another now, we will regret it later." The parents rallied around him, their concerns igniting a resolve born of desperation. They couldn't let fear grip them. They had to act. There was power in community, power in every hopeful face turned toward him. Maya, feeling the surge of tension, stepped up next to Jordan. "What can we do?" she asked, her young voice steady, brimming with determination. She looked around, her eyes meeting each adult's gaze like a quiet plea, an unspoken invitation to join her fervor. "Let us divide into groups. Parents can take one area while the kids hold signs, even if it's just to say that we're looking for Sophia," Jordan exclaimed, galvanizing the room. "We need everyone. Every set of eyes counts. We can't lose hope." The atmosphere shifted, fueled by a collective spirit of determination. The community center transformed into a hub of purpose as people grabbed their coats, ready to help in any way they could. Chief Matthews nodded, grateful for the unexpected show of strength. He directed some officers to support Jordan. "I'll coordinate from here," he promised. "You focus on leading the search. We're with you 100. Jordan watched the crowd, parents and kids alike, spurred into action. Even Maya, full of vibrant energy, began to paint "Help us find Sophia" on a large poster board. In her innocent defiance against the chaos, there was hope, a small but fierce light in the gathering dark. As the groups began to disperse, Jordan took a moment to breathe, looking at all the faces filled with purpose. Amid their shared anxiety, he felt an ember of strength ignite in himself. Then he sensed it. A shift, the promise of change. He couldn't shake the feeling that this search would ripple far beyond just one child. But what if Sophia wasn't the only one needing help? What if this brought something deeper to light? There was so much still unresolved. In that swirling chaos of action and determination, one thought clenched at his heart. Would they find her in time? Because if not, what would that mean for all of them? The true impact of this moment was still unfolding, and Jordan braced for what lay ahead. The sun hung low as the first groups began to fan out into the streets, the cool afternoon air contrasting sharply with the racing hearts of the searchers. Jordan could see determined parents scanning the area, while kids clutched their handmade signs, each painted message a whisper of hope. Maya was among them, her little fingers coated in paint, each stroke a testament to her belief that they'd find Sophia. "Stay together," Jordan called out, his voice cutting through the noise. He felt a strange pulse of adrenaline surging, the weight of so many eyes looking to him for leadership. He wasn't prepared for this, but somehow it felt right. He glanced at Maya again, who was now sticking close to a few other kids, exchanging nervous glances but maintaining that fierce commitment. These kids, with their wide eyes and flushed cheeks, were threading courage through fear. They spread out, covering the park first. Jordan took the lead, alongside a couple of parents who had already set a swift pace. Laughter from playful children nearby echoed softly, a stark contrast to the unease turning in his guts as they approached the swings. The broken chains of the notice board swayed in the wind, drawing his attention. Old announcements fluttered beneath, but something else caught his eye. A shoelace, frayed and out of place, hung over the edge. He knelt down, fingers brushing against the dirt as he inspected it. "Jordan, is everything okay?" a father asked, joggling to his side. "I don't know," was all he could manage to say. But deep down, a knot tightened in his chest. This whole day felt surreal. Was this clue just another panic fueling his fear, or something more? The father, noticing his unease, placed a hand on Jordan's shoulder. "We'll find her. We have to believe that." His words, though reassuring, felt like flickering candles against the storm brewing in Jordan's heart. What if they didn't find her? They advanced deeper into the park, checking behind trees and at every playground nook. The tension hung thick in the air, each searcher secretly wondering if they'd be the one to unearth the truth behind the child's disappearance. As dusk approached, the stroke of orange across the sky was fleeting but beautiful. With each passing minute, hope dimmed a little more, and anxiety seeped deeper into their bones. Parents called out Sophia's name, their voices ringing through the fading light. Suddenly, Jordan heard a distant scream. His heart dropped. They all exchanged worried looks, rushing toward the sound. They reached the edge of the wooded area where the scream had festered into silence. "Maya!" Jordan shouted, panic threading through his voice. He was met with the sight of a little girl standing rigid, her sign crumpled in her small hands. She pointed toward an old, beaten-up shed, light filtering through cracks. "She's in there," Maya cried, tears catching the evening glow. "I saw her move." Jordan felt a surge of energy he didn't know he had. He sprinted toward the shed, urgency propelling him forward. The door hung slightly ajar, creaking softly as he pushed it open. Inside, the air was damp and stale. Shadows loomed, making it hard to see. "Sophia?" he called, the sound echoing in the small space. The darkness seemed to respond in silence. Jordan's heart raced as dread quickly replaced the adrenaline. This was at the moment they'd been anxiously waiting for. But what if they weren't prepared for what lay ahead? A soft whimper reverberated through the growing darkness, and he took a step forward, unsure of what he would find. Would Sophia be there, vulnerable and scared? Or had this pursuit already taken a darker turn? The moment of truth was closing in fast, and Jordan could feel the weight of all their hopes pressing hard against his chest. He took a deep breath, pushing past the threshold into the dim interior of the shed. The musty scent of old wood and damp earth filled the air, clinging to his nostrils. As his eyes adjusted, faint shapes started to emerge from the shadows. "Stay close," he called out behind him, desperate for the comfort of his friends and their shared purpose. Maya and the others followed his lead, peering into the darkness, their faces lit with a mix of fear and resolve. "Sophia?" he shouted again, desperation edging his voice. As the sound bounced around him, hope mingled with an unsettling chill that crept down his spine. Was she really inside? Another whimper, this time louder and more pained. Jordan's heart pounded as he moved toward the sound. "I'm coming," he called out. He reached out, brushing a rough wall, his fingers grazing over peeling paint and crumbling boards. From the far corner, he saw a small figure curled up on the floor. It was faintly illuminated by a sliver of light piercing through the cracks. As he got closer, the girl looked up, her tear-streaked face barely visible. "Is it you, Jordan?" The voice was fragile, but it was undoubtedly Sophia's. Relief surged through him, washing over the anxiety that had gripped his heart. "Yes, it's me. We're here to get you." Jordan fell to his knees, reaching out to touch her shoulder gently. She was trembling, shivering from the cold and the fear. "Sophia," Maya called, darting forward. Her eyes brimmed with tears at the sight of her friend. "Are you okay? We were so worried." Maya knelt beside Sophia, wrapping her arms around her, holding her tightly. Jordan watched as the embrace unfolded. In that small moment, a flicker of warmth ignited inside him. But as Sophia leaned into Maya's embrace, he noticed something. Her clothes were dusty and torn, her eyes wide with confusion and fear. "What happened?" Jordan asked, his voice trembling. "How did you end up here?" Sophia wiped her eyes, trying to muster a small smile. "I got lost, but I heard you all calling. I was scared." Jordan felt a sharp pang in his chest. "You're safe now. We're going to get you out." But as he spoke, uncertainty nagged at him. They were still in the shed, still hidden from the world outside. "Help me up," Sophia whispered, extending her shaky hands toward him. He took her hands and pulled her to her feet. Seeing her struggle sent a fresh wave of determination coursing through him. "Let us go home," he urged, turning toward the door. But as he stepped forward, a strange noise echoed from deeper within the shed. A clattering sound, followed by a low, ominous creak. Jordan froze, his instincts on high alert. "What was that?" he whispered, glancing back at Maya and Sophia. Fear pooled in their eyes, uncertainty twisting the air between them. "I don't know," Maya murmured, her voice quivering. The noise reverberated again, louder this time. Jordan's heart raced. They weren't alone in there. His fingers felt cold against the splintered edge of the doorframe, the sound clawing at the corners of his mind. Panic set in as the reality washed over him. Were they truly safe? As he stared into the shadowed depths of the shed, he realized they had to confront whatever darkness lurked within before they could escape. "Stay behind me," he urged, his voice steady despite the dread curling in his stomach. With a deep breath, he stepped further into the shadows. "Let us find out what is hiding in here." What would they discover? And would it change everything they thought they knew? Jordan felt the weight of the darkness pressing down on him as he took another cautious step. The air was thick, almost suffocating, and every sound seemed amplified: the creaks of the old wood, the scuttling of something small in the corner, and the quiet breath of his friends behind him. He turned back for a moment, his eyes catching Maya's worried gaze. "Stay close, no matter what," he reassured her. She nodded, her grip on Sophia firm as if trying to shield her from whatever might be lurking in the shadows. With Sophia standing beside Maya, Jordan summoned all the courage he could muster and moved deeper into the shed. Each step felt monumental, like crossing a chasm. "Simon," he urged softly, trying to infuse his voice with confidence. The whispers of fear tickled at the back of his mind, but he focused on Sophia, the small figure who had been alone in the dark, and who needed him now more than ever. As they advanced, the noise grew more pronounced, a low rumble, something shifting in the dark. It felt as if the whole shed was alive, breathing with an urgency that matched their rising fear. "What if it's just the wind?" Maya suggested, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her uncertainty. "Let us hope so," Jordan replied, but he wasn't convinced. Another noise, sharp and quick, like something skittering just out of sight. His heart leapt. "Sophia, are you sure you didn't see anyone else here?" he asked, glancing at her wide eyes still filled with uncertainty. I don't know," she murmured, and for a moment, in the dim light of the shed, Jordan could see her fears shift to confusion. "I was just hiding. I didn't want to get caught." Caught? Jordan felt the chill. What kind of trouble had she stumbled into? Just then, a shadow moved at the edge of his vision. He spun around, holding out his arms instinctively, ready to shield his friends. But nothing came forward. Only silence. The moment stretched, almost unbearable. Then, a flicker broke through the dark, a soft, wavering light filtering through a tiny crack near the ceiling. "Look, over there." Jordan pointed, feeling hope surge momentarily. They all turned toward the light, their breaths a little less shaky. Maybe they could find another way out. Maybe there was something positive still hiding here. But before they could step toward it, the noise erupted again, this time unmistakable and unmistakably closer. There, Jordan shouted, adrenaline pouring into his veins like ice water. From the dark shadows loomed an outline, shifting awkwardly, something they couldn't quite make out yet. The energy changed entirely from fear to a fierce resolve. Jordan's body tensed. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice steady now. Deep down, he hoped they would get an answer, that maybe it was someone trapped, or maybe someone who had a reason to be in the shed, just like them. The shape moved again, this time stepping into the thin circle of light spilling through the door. Jordan squinted, the outline sharpening into something more defined, but he couldn't discern the face yet. "We just want to help. Is anyone in there?" Silence lingered for a heartbeat. Then, the figure stepped closer, and the faces of his friends frozen in the light mirrored his shock. "Jordan?" the voice said, and it echoed with a familiar cadence. It was a name long past his lips, a name that rattled memories, good and bad. "Who are you?" A knot of uncertainty twisted tight in his stomach. But before he could grasp what this could mean, the figure said, "It's time to face the truth." Jordan felt the ground shift beneath him. What truth? And who was this stranger holding answers he couldn't yet understand? The figure stepped into the light, revealing a young man, one who looked strikingly similar to Jordan. A chill rippled through him as recognition stirred deep inside. "Zach?" Jordan started, disbelief clouding his thoughts. It had been years since he'd seen his estranged brother, their lives having drifted apart into shadows of resentment and miscommunication. "Yeah," Zach nodded, his face taut with emotion. "I heard about what happened. I came to help." Jordan felt a wave of confusion crash over him. "Help? How could you help? You disappeared from my life without a trace." "I made mistakes," Zach replied, his voice cracking. "But I'm here now, and we need to talk. There are things you need to know if we're going to get out of here." Jordan's heart raced as both fear and an emotional tempest rolled through him. Was this the answer they were seeking, or a deeper distraction from the very real danger they faced? He glanced at Maya and Sophia, their innocent faces seeming to process the growing tension. "Guys, we need to stay focused. We're not here to dig up the past," he urged, forcing himself to stay grounded. "We need to find a way out and protect these kids." Zach's expression morphed into something darker. "Trust me, what I have to say is crucial for everyone's safety. I need you to listen." Jordan hesitated. The weight of his brother's presence loomed large, yet the urgency of the moment pushed aside the years of neglect. "Fine," he said in a hushed tone, "but we have to keep moving." Zach glanced back toward the darkness that loomed deeper within the shed. "There's something out there. A group of kids has gone missing before. It's all connected. I know what to do, and we can use it to protect yours." "A group?" Maya squeaked, trembling a little. "Mr. Jordan, what does he mean?" Jordan sunk down to level his eyes with hers. "Maya, stay close to Zach and Sophia. I need to check to see if it's safe outside." As he edged deeper into the shadows, Jordan felt a knot of uncertainty tightening. Zach followed him, urgency emanating from their shared bloodline, awakening something familiar, yet distant, an impulse to protect and reconnect. But he still held anger beneath the surface, a kindling flame waiting to erupt at the slightest spark. "What do you mean about the missing kids?" he asked, forcing his voice to remain steady. Zach's voice lowered. "They were taken from this area. I think they're being kept near the old warehouse down the street. I was a part of it. I infiltrated their group, Jordan. I thought I could help, but I wasn't strong enough." Jordan's desire to recoil from his brother's confession battled with the gravity of the situation. "This isn't about you or your past. We need to help these kids now." Around them, the air began to shift, hinting at something unseen lurking just out of sight. Shadows danced around them. Echoes of despair tunneled from all corners of the dim shed. "Listen," Zach urged, gripping Jordan's shoulder. "I know I messed up, but if we're going to save Sophia and Maya, we have to come together. Promise me you'll trust me." Jordan seethed at the weight of Zach's words. Trust had felt like a lost cause, but not just for Zach. Through all of this, he had yet to truly trust himself. "Fine," Jordan finally blurted out, breathing heavy. "But it's going to be on your shoulders, not mine." Zach nodded, swallowing hard, and took a step back into the shadows, reclaiming the courage he'd long let slip away. In that moment, Something shifted between the brothers, a raw, vulnerable connection forged in a desperate moment of survival. As they regrouped with Maya and Sophia, Jordan couldn't help but marvel at how quickly they had formed a fragile community. All these bonds had nurtured strength in their vulnerability, a legacy to reshape their futures. Maya clasped her little hands together, eyes wide and shining with determination. So what do we do next? Jordan exchanged a glance with Zach. We go find those missing kids. Yeah, they echoed, emboldened by the fire that flickered unexpectedly bright in their hearts. Stepping into the fresh air outside, Jordan felt like a phoenix rising from ashes, his challenges now intertwined with those of his community. This wasn't just a collective mission anymore. It was a rebirth, a chance to rewrite their stories, to embrace unity amidst chaos. As they ventured toward the old warehouse, the weight of the journey ahead settled in, but so did the burning hope that they might reach the dream they had so ardently chased. And as if the universe responded, the laughter of children echoed around them, a potent reminder of why they were fighting to break the chains that bound them. Together, they would rise, and together they would change their world forever. Even through hardship, love and trust proved powerful forces, whispering promises of newfound horizons, a call to dream bigger than ever before, shared among the very hearts they vowed to protect. Now more than ever, the words of that little girl echoed in his heart, "You deserve a chance to dream." Jordan smiled as they pressed forward, ready to embrace whatever challenges remained. This was only the beginning, and hope thrummed fervently in the as the credits of their story rolled. Those echoes would spur him on defining not just his path, but their shared futures too. And if he were to remember anything about this night, it would be that darkness could never extinguish the light of hope when held fiercely by a united community. Now, we need you all to channel this energy. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, warriors. Don't wait, not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.